full-size 9mm NATO-approved sidearm for less than the cost of a grocery run, we better open this box. Citizens, scholars, and friendly knights everywhere, you have happened upon the TAC Nerd channel on a glorious day. We have a box opening here for you. You could see it right there, the cover of the box, SAR SAR. So folks, this is the SAR USA SR9, and that is by SARUSA.
I can't understand the word that.
Let's take a look at presentation of the box first. I know some people may think this is silly, but if a company's going to make a nice presentation, I think they care something about their product. Here it is. Now, this is the, first off, I should say first off, there are many configurations of this particular pistol. And this is a black polymer frame with stainless steel slide and polished barrel. But let's first look at what it comes with. We get a little decal here, a little sticker for you, your bike lock, of course. And we get this little accessory bag. I thought that was kind of interesting that they give you this. Let's look inside here first, see what's in there. Looks like we have magazine. We have, what else is in here? All of the straps. We've got back straps, slide strap, side straps. That's difficult to say. More side straps, more back straps. That is a takedown tool. And what do we got here? Cleaning kit, looks like. SAR cleaning kit. Look at that. That's very nice. Very nice. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Here's a plate. That's a mounting plate. And yes, this is supposedly, it's not cut for an optic, but it is tapped for one. So I guess you put that plate on top. This is a full-size striker-fired 9mm, not a compact, not a micro, not something pretending to be smaller. This is 100% definitely duty-sized. Let's take that flag out. Let's lock this back first. Can we lock it back? I don't know. Crap. That flag was really in there. Okay. Now we can put the slide lock on. So there we go. There we go. Pick this up from Palmetto State Armory. Everyone's favorite PSA. Everyone loves to hate them, hates to love them. I think they're okay. I order quite a bit from there, which is honestly one of the reasons I only picked this up, because this was on one of their Christmas specials, one of their holiday specials. And this was for the paltry sum, ladies and gentlemen, mostly gentlemen, the paltry sum of 199 quatlus.
Wow.
That's right. Now this pistol comes in many various generations. I don't know which generation this is, but I gotta say, whoa, that's nice. I like it. I kind of like it. Now it has finger grooves. They're not terrible. They're not. So this one specifically is the stainless slide, as I said. It's a version with a polished barrel. It's highly polished. Again, 9x19. And I'll say right away, this looks way nicer than a 200 quatlu pistol. But it's a nice looking pistol. This is a duty pistol. On paper, this lives in the same physical space as you would probably see like Glock 17, like an H&K VP9, full grip, full slide, full sight radius. So folks, how does a 200 quatlu pistol even end up in that category? This was designed as a military law enforcement pistol. Now there are different versions. You can get the black version, the all black version of this when it's on sale, as it is right now, for 179 quatlus, which is even cheaper. This gun exists because the military needed a modern striker-fired pistol. So this is not your Taurus G2, G3. This is not your Stoeger STR-9 that were just designed and flooded out there on the open market. Okay, this was designed for a military. It's used by Turkish militaries. I believe it's used by Albania. Okay, folks, next, let's look at some physical impressions of the pistol. Let's look at the grip texture. It's got really nice grip texture all the way around. You can see here. Now, it's not super aggressive, but it's there. It's got side serrations, back, front, along the finger grooves. The one thing we did briefly go over this when we were looking in the accessory bag, not only does it have back straps, it's got side straps. So maybe trying a little too hard.
You know, you're just trying too hard.
But still, I mean, if that's your thing and you wanted to get a bigger palm swell, you could certainly do that. I don't think I will. I think this fits me just fine as it is. It feels like, again, this feels like even the presentation here, you know, the way everything is set up, the accessory bag, this feels like something that would be issued. But you can tell this has a military lineage. It feels like a service pistol. It does not feel like a gamble, a 200 Quatlo gamble. Let's give the trigger a try out real quick here. That's nice. It's not bad. There's some grittiness as it goes back, and there's a wall. But when it breaks, it's nice. It's got a nice break. It's not, I wouldn't say it's flat-faced for sure, but it's not super curved either. Let's see about the reset. Go forward. There's your reset right there, and break again. Let's try it on the scale. Now these striker fireds with the dingus are notoriously hard to get a good measurement on, but we'll try it. Sometimes you have to give them a little help. It is 5 pounds. Let's try it one more time. That one was almost 6.5. Let's try one more time for science. Science. Let's get it right on the dingus there. And again, we're at 6 pounds that way. So I would say average 5.5 to 6 pound trigger. That's, again, it's a service pistol. That's going to be pretty common. But you know, it's not a hard break either. It's a nice trigger. I like it. It feels nice. It really does. Hey folks, Editor Tapnerd coming in right now with a quick question for all of you. Post down below, if you had 200 right now in your pocket, would you grab one of these? If you needed a duty size pistol or even a prepping pistol or a tool, what would you do? Would you get one of these? Would you save up, get something brand name? Maybe go LEO trade in. Would you go down a notch? Maybe get a high point at a 45 instead of 9? Let me know. I answer all of the questions down below. Let's get a discussion going. Okay, comparisons. Let's think about this in comparison to some other likely candidates out there in its class. All right. First, let's talk about the Glock 17. That's going to be this pistol's main comparison. Now, there's been many people, we'll say the line.
Say the line, Bart.
Many people are comparing this to an amalgamation of a Glock and a VP9. You know, it might look something like this. And I think that's warranted. Let's take a look inside here. So this has a dual recoil spring setup. This is very much like the Gen 4 and 5 Glocks. Now this is my 47. This is the slide to my 47. Now you tell me, boys, if that's not very similar. Got a little bit of difference here in the plunger. But boy, look at that. Very, very similar. A little bit of a thicker back plate on the SAR. If they wanted to, they could have made this fit exactly if they really wanted to. But they didn't. Right there. Now this is not rust. This is a 47 and this is a SAR. Slightly shorter frame on the 47. That's because that's the way the 47 is set up. The other interesting thing, by the way, that you'll notice about the SAR, from everything I can tell, I think this is an internal chassis system. You've got the serial number on the inside of the chassis right there. It is not on the bottom plate like most are. However, so I mean, if they wanted to, they could probably come out with other frames for this, but there's nothing on the US market for that. I don't know why they didn't, to be quite honest, because that would have made this more popular. It's obviously made the Rugers popular, the RXM, hugely popular pistol. They could have really captured onto that if they really wanted to, but they just chose not to do it. I don't know why. And there are so many different variations of this pistol out there. It's hard for me to tell if this is an old design that's been scrapped and now they're doing something new, or if this is the new design and that maybe they didn't used to do that. I don't know, because I can't figure out which version this is. I don't know which generation this is. It's not printed anywhere. But to continue with our comparison, this is a 17 round mag. Like, both of them are 17. That would go pretty much along with the 47. Now, dimensionally, they are very close. Slides pretty much exactly the same. Now, this one, again, this does have a plate for mounting optics, as does the 47. Size-wise, very, very close. Now, this 47 I have does have the flared magwell, the Glock brand magwell. This one, I gotta say, doesn't seem to need it. It's flared out enough as it is. I don't know. I don't think that it really needs it. It's got that HK9 thing going on that I don't think it would need it. The other nice thing about being similar to the 1747 line is that it's probably going to fit holsters for that. Now, I do see other versions of these approaching that larger price range, approaching close to this, the 400 to 500 Quatlu price range maybe. Now, what about the Taurus, the G3? G3 often wins on value. It does have the G3s, the Tauruses, they're kind of a middle ground. They do have the accessory and support that way. You can get sights for them. You can get additions to them. You maybe can get different triggers for them. Not as much as like a Glock, but definitely more than this. They are a little bit more in price. But again, the Taurus is not made, not military spec, not NATO spec. Okay, folks, accessories. Now, holsters, accessories, it's going to be hit or miss here. I'll be very honest with you. Some people report these fitting into Glock holsters. I tried a few of those, and they seem to fit pretty well. My Outlaw holster fits really well. Some of the other ones I have fit really well. Holsters you're going to be pretty good on. I don't think you're going to have a problem there. As far as the other aftermarket stuff, as far as triggers, as far as sights, triggers you're right out. You're not going to find any aftermarket triggers for these. Maybe there's some guy somewhere that I don't know making them, maybe. Sights, I've heard maybe you can get a front sight, the rear sight, doubtful. Now, this looks like it goes on like a Glock sight that, you take it off on the underneath. We'll do some experimenting with that as in later videos, but I think it's different, slightly different tool that you have to use to get off of there. And that's the other thing. It's very likely that there is accessories for this in Turkey, that they're making them. Maybe for the troops, maybe for LEO, but they're just not over here because they probably don't think they need them or there's enough of a market for them. But that's the one thing. Aftermarket stuff, you're going to be pretty limited. What you buy today, right here, that's what you're going to get for the SR9. That's it. And that's the other thing, too, is magazines. These magazines seem fairly normal, very European-like, I should say, very Mekgar-like. I don't know if Mekgar is the one who's making these. They look very similar. But the problem is I've looked at magazines. They're generally up around, I would say, anywhere from 40 to 45 Quatlus each, where Glock mags, you can get cheap ones, cheap aftermarket ones. Sometimes you can get them on sale for like 10 or 15 Quatlus. Glock brand, Glock ones, a little bit more, 20, 30. Magpulls, again, maybe 15 to 20. depending. That's going to be an issue with these is magazines. The other thing is Glocks. You're usually, if you get a Gen 5, you're going to get 3 magazines with it. This one you only get 2. So if you want to get equal there, automatically add with shipping, you're probably looking at almost 50 to get another magazine for this one. So add 50 right onto that right there. So you're already at 250 Qualus. And it does not seem like any other brands are going to work with these, from what I can tell. Okay, folks, last category, prepping and survival use. Now, this is another area where I think the SR9 really soars because it's got what you really want for, kind of that steal away pistol, that cash pistol, secondary stored backup pistol. You kind of shove it out there with your supplies. It's military, so it's guaranteed to work with NATO hot loads. It's guaranteed to work if you drop it in mud, dirt, rain, snow, whatever. It's been tested, so it's going to work. Now, the only bad part about survival or prepping use is that if you've got a part that goes wrong, something breaks, or you lose magazines, the pistol's done. You're not going to find parts for this. And so what makes this also really nice as a prepping pistol is that it's easy to shoot. It's full-sized. It's going to be fairly soft recoiling, and it's going to be fairly forgiving to inexperienced, let's just say, users. And soldiers always don't get a lot of time to practice with, so they need a weapon that they can learn how to use quick and that is just going to be there and it's going to be reliable. And that's what this is. And again, that's what makes it perfect for a prepping use. The NATO spec design matters. This pistol was made to run hot ammo, tolerate dirt, keep functioning where conditions aren't ideal. Again, however, the downside is in the logistics. The SR9 mags aren't common. You're not going to find them. You can't assume you're going to find them later, and you're not going to find parts. But for a cache weapon, it's great. You store the pistol mags and the ammo close to it, put it somewhere. Again, as always, consult your local laws. And that's it. And there's a big prepper advantage here. It's a replacement tool. It's something to have. You're not replacing this, but it's going to be there if you need it, if that makes sense. Okay, folks, so final verdicts. Here's an honest take. What I think so far, my first impressions. If you want a pistol that you can endlessly customize, that you can standardize with a group or build with parts for an ecosystem that's been around for ages, the Glock still wins. It does. But if you're looking for something value-priced, inexpensive, rugged, duty-sized, and built with NATO specs, I think that this SR9, this very nice-looking, very well-handling SR9 shoots way, way above its price tag. Way above. And I don't think you could, for that price, I don't think you could do better. I would definitely, if I had that money in hand and I needed something like this, I would definitely go this over, again, some of the other pistols in its price and category. Again, like the Stoegers, the Tauruses, stuff like that. I would definitely go this route first. Okay, folks. So listen, that is it. That's about all we have for you here today. We're going to get this out to the range soon, so stay tuned. Make sure you're subscribed down there. Make sure to hit that bell icon so you know when the shooting video appears. And we'll get this out and we'll test this directly against its competitor. And we'll have a shoot-off with the pistol that is almost triple the price of this one, or more, maybe. And we'll see if there really is a big difference. So again, folks, like, share, and subscribe down below. Let us know what you think and stay tuned to the Tac Nerd channel. People, I want you to go out there and prep appropriately. This is Tac Nerd signing out.